Well, I just got done watching the 2021 Daytona 500, and I have to say, I am a little bit disappointed by this year's Daytona 500. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. After a very long day, the Daytona 500 has officially concluded, and we're going to go ahead and talk about this year's Daytona 500. We'll go through all the storylines and the whole race, and then we'll give you the score and go through the race results of this event as well. Let's start off at the beginning of the race. Before the green flag even dropped in this race, a quarter of the field would have to start at the tail end of the field, including Bubba Wallace, who failed inspection twice, Eric Jones, Martin Truex Jr., Brad Keselowski, William Byron, Chase Briscoe, among multiple others, would have to start at the rear of the field for crashing into duels, failing inspection, or other things during the practice sessions. All those cars would have to go to the rear of the field. The green flag would drop about 2:05 in the afternoon, and then at the beginning of the race, Alex Bowman would take the lead early in the event and would lead the first lap of this year's Daytona 500. And then 3 laps into the event, NASCAR and every fan at home and probably at the racetrack held up a 3 to salute the great Dale Earnhardt Sr. in remembrance of 20 years past his death. Everyone honored Dale Earnhardt Sr. And then right after that, the first caution would actually come out in the event for Derrike Cope, who had a flat tire. It's kind of funny because in 1990, Derrike Cope got a win in Daytona 500 after Dale Earnhardt had a flat tire, and now it looks like Dale Earnhardt's ghost paid the favor to Derrike Cope, as he would end up having a flat tire, bring out the caution on lap 3 of the event. And then we had some pretty good racing in the early stages of the event. Kevin Harvick would dominate the early stages of the event. And then around lap 14 of the race, the first big one was struck really early in the event. After some contact, Kyle Busch gave a huge push to Christopher Bell that would run into the back of Aric Almirola. Aric Almirola would spin, collecting a lot of other cars, including Alex Bowman, William Byron, Kurt Busch, Eric Jones, Anthony Alfredo, I believe Matt DiBenedetto, Ryan Blaney, Daniel Suarez. Ryan Blaney's day would end when he went into the grass, same with Daniel Suarez, among a lot of others that would end up being involved in the event. And as soon as that ended up happening, lightning would strike and then rain would strike, and we would actually end up having about a 5 to 6 hour rain delay. And people didn't think we'd be getting racing in this even when we were able to finish the race. Then we got back going, and we had about 10 or 15 laps of pace laps so they can get the track pretty much dry so we can continue racing into the event. And then we went back green flag racing, and then Denny Hamlin pretty much dominated the big next portion, really dominated most of the next half of the race, really dominated the whole majority of the night, as once Hamlin got up to the front after all the stuff sorted out, he really was the car to be early in this race. And then the next caution would come out about 10 laps after that, about lap 40, when William Byron, his quarter panel had come off, the damaged quarter panel came off of the race car, and then Quinn Houff ran over that and killed his car, and Chase Briscoe wouldn't give up. Unfortunately, Quinn Houff's opportunity to go for the win ended up not coming true, and that would end his opportunity at winning this year's Daytona 500. And then we would go back green flag racing, and it would basically be really a single file train racing most of the first stage. I was kind of disappointed. I thought there'd be more racing, but with the field being splintered out and with being 6 hours of plan on what you're going to do, the field kind of ended up being really, honestly, a really boring event. And then Denny Hamlin would come off the first front corner, and he would end up winning the first stage of this year's Daytona 500. Stage 2 would happen in the event, and again, Stage 2, there really was not much that happened in that. There would be green flag pit stops, and the next incident would really take place about 17 laps to go in stage number 2. Christopher Bell would have a tire go down. I think he only took 2 tires. He must have got some damage somewhere. He would take 2 tires and would spin out coming off of turn number 2. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Kyle Larson would also be involved, along with Kaz Grala and Corey LaJoie would all end up being involved in that crash on the backstretch of that event. Kyle Larson would continue, and then Kaz Grala was on the racetrack. They were coming to the restart, and his tire basically caught on fire. They tried to continue in the race, and that unfortunately would kill their opportunity to go in the event, and that would really screw the opportunity for Kaz Grala to have a shot at contending and winning this year's Daytona 500. And then it once again became a train race for most of the second half of the event. Like I mentioned, there was not really much that great racing in the event. And then we basically went green flag racing for the end. And the finish actually of the stage was really, really good. Bubba Wallace actually made a move after some guys were trying to make some moves. Bubba Wallace made a move, try to go for the lead. And the end of stage number 2, he looked like he was going to be able to get the race lead. Unfortunately, Bubba Wallace was not able to clear. Denny Hamlin actually held off Kevin Harvick for the stage win, and Denny Hamlin was able to sweep the stages in that event. And then we go back racing for stage number 3. I think actually Kyle Larson this time would end up getting a safety violation around the time the restart happened. He would go to the tail end. They were trying to work on the car from the damage in the event. They really didn't mention Kyle Larson most of the event. Kyle Larson actually was having an overall really, really strong race in that event. And then the final stage would pretty much go green pretty much the rest of the way. And again, it turned into a single file stage event where there really wasn't much passing. The most interesting part came around 30 laps to go in the event when you had pit stops. You had the Chevys, the Toyotas, and the Fords. They would end up splitting the stages, and they would start deciding what strategy are we going to pull and what are we going to do to try to win the race. The Toyotas, actually, the Fords would pit first, then the Chevys would pit, and then the Toyotas would end up pitting last. And because of this, the Fords were able to get the stage lead, and they were actually able to hold off Denny Hamlin, the guy who dominated the race. They were able to get away from Denny Hamlin, and he was able to pull away. Logano was. And then it became a train race once again. Like I mentioned, there was a lot of train racing in this event, the choo-choo train, throughout the whole entire Daytona 500. And then the final 25 laps came down to when are people going to make the move to try to win this year's Daytona 500. And then the moves really only started happening with around 2 laps to go when a couple drivers like Brad Keselowski and Michael McDowell, they started making the moves, coming to the white flag. Joey Logano, who had dominated the last portion of this event, he would basically pull off at turn number 2. And then the big one struck once again into the event, coming down the backstretch. Michael McDowell gave a little bit of shove to Brad Keselowski coming off the turn. That would spin Joey Logano, and it was just a racing incident, in my opinion. That would end up happening, and then coming off of turn number 3 and coming into turn number 4, Michael McDowell holds off Chase Elliott and Austin Dillon to win the Daytona 500. You heard that right. Michael McDowell steals a win for the Daytona 500. I don't really think anybody picked Michael McDowell to win this year's Daytona 500. He's a really good super speedway racer, and he was able to pull ahead and win the Daytona 500 under caution. Now, a lot of people are complaining that they didn't finish the race. I think NASCAR, in my opinion, made an honest and good move because there was a lot of fire on the track and there was potentially a lot of drivers in danger. There were a couple cars that were involved in that crash, specifically Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Austin Cindric, Bubba Wallace, and Cole Custer were all involved in the crash. All the drivers at this current moment, at this time, have been released from the care center, so all the drivers are okay at this time. That last lap wreck was really, really, really bad. And like I mentioned, I think that was just overall a racing deal. And you're trying to go for the win at Daytona 500, and you're trying to win that. But yeah, Michael McDowell steals the win at this year's Daytona 500. And I just want to say here, congratulations to Michael McDowell on winning his first career race in this year's Daytona 500. And he's locked into playoffs and shakes up the bubble before the playoffs, unless we have a lot of different winners that end up winning this year. And he's behind all those guys. Michael McDowell is in the NASCAR Cup Series Plus. Pending inspection protocols, he is your 2021 Daytona 500 champion. I'm not the biggest fan of Michael McDowell personally, but it's really, really cool for Michael McDowell. Congratulations on winning this year's Daytona 500. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into the results of this race and give you the score overall of tonight's event. Michael McDowell steals win of this year's Daytona 500. Congratulations to him. Chase Elliott finished the second. If they kept the race green flag, I think Chase Elliott honestly could have had an opportunity to go for the victory, but with that caution come out, Chase Elliott didn't have a shot, but comes back and finishes second. Good run for Chase Elliott this evening. Austin Dillon finishes third. Austin Dillon had a really, really good race, in my honest opinion. Had a very strong run going. Arguably was the only one that really could compete for the Toyotas a lot of the event. Did a really good job in the event. Gets a third place finish. Strong start to the year for Austin Dillon. Kevin Harvick finishes fourth. Harvick had a pretty good run this evening. His car looked really, really fast in the event. Denny Hamlin finished his fifth. He will not go 3 in a row in this year's Daytona 500. He had the dominant car, arguably the best car in the event. But at the end of the race, he could not get back up the front, but finished his fifth. Again, really strong start of the year for Denny Hamlin. Ross Chastain finishes sixth. Ryan Preece gets a 7th place finish. Great run for Ryan Preece. Jamie McMurray finishes 8th. Really good run for Jamie McMurray in his one-off in this year. Corey LaJoie finishes 9th. Both Spire cars got a top 10. Really strong run for the Spire cars. And Kyle Larson finishes 7th. Now, a lot of people were questioning Kyle Larson should have arguably finished 4th when the caution came out. I agree. I think Larson should have finished 4th in the event, but he gets 10th in the event. Cole Custer finishes 11th. Joey Logano finishes 12th. Brad Keselowski finishes 13th. Kyle Busch finishes 14th. Austin Cindric finishes 15th. I have to say, man, Austin Cindric impressed the hell out of me in this event. He really impressed me last year in the Xfinity Series when he won the championship, but getting a 15th place finish, that was really, really strong for him. Chris Bell finishes 16th, the guy that caused the first big one. He made the mistake. He should not have been that aggressive early in the event. I don't know what he was doing there. You're 13 laps in the race, and you were too aggressive in the event, but he gets 16th place finish. Bubba Wallace finished 17th. Bubba Wallace had to come down pit road around 20 laps to go in the event. I think he had a vibration. I think he had a loose wheel after the pit stops, and unfortunately, that would cost him an opportunity winning the Daytona 500. He was also involved in the big one. Unfortunately, Bubba Wallace, that team impressed me in the event. He was running and contending a lot of this race in the top 5. Good, strong first outing for them, but unfortunately, not a great finish to start off the season. Rick Stenhouse Jr. finishes 18th. Chase Briscoe finishes 19th. Joey Gase finishes 20th. 21st goes to Cody Ward. 22nd, Kurt Busch. 23rd goes over to B.J. McLeod. 24th, Josh Bilicki. 25th, Martin Truex Jr. 26th, William Byron. 27th, Tyler Reddick. 28th, Kaz Gralla. 29th place goes to Quinn Houff. 30th place goes to Ryan Blaney. 31st, Chris Buescher. 32nd, Anthony Alfredo. 33rd, Matt DiBenedetto. 34th, Eric Almirola. 35th, Alex Bowman. 36th, Daniel Suarez. 37th, David Ragan. 30th place goes to Ryan Newman. 39th, Eric Jones. And finishing last in this year's Daytona 500 in his final NASCAR Cup Series start is going to be Derek Coe. And now let's go ahead and give you my review of this race. I'm going to be real here. I was really not a fan of this year's Daytona 500. This was not the worst Daytona 500. I think 2000 and 2013 were way worse in this event, and there at least were attempts to pass in the event, and there was actually more lead changes, I think, in this one than those events, if I'm not mistaken. But still, this has been the worst race of this package, but I'll be honest, I think the rain coming in the event and affecting the outcome of the event, again, I want to really say this here. Can we start these races at noon? This is ridiculous. There's been so many races, especially in Florida, that have been affected by these later start times. Start the race at noon or 1 p.m., please. Start them earlier because you could have at least had some pretty good racing overall. And I also think another reason why the racing was not overall that good is I think drivers were scared. There was a big one on lap 13 of the event because someone was trying to be a hero, and that really screwed the race up. That being said, though, I'm not going to give this race a higher score. I actually will give it a little bit of better score than I originally would because we had an upset winner in this event. I am going to give the Daytona 500 a 6 out of 10. Again, I thought the race was overall going to be a little better than it was. It was a little bit disappointing overall, but still, really good. Congratulations to Michael McDowell on winning this year's Daytona 500. Your score for the event is going to be 6 out of 10. We come back to Daytona for the Daytona Road Course next week. We'll be back here for some road course racing at the Daytona Road Course. I wouldn't be shocked if Michael McDowell is contending for the win in that race. Not a great race in my opinion, but that is your review for the Daytona 500 in 2021, and not the best way to kick off the year in this year's Daytona 500. Just a weird Daytona 500 for be honest, because he also had fog in the event. So, anyway, that is going to be for today's NASCAR video and race review. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel, notifications so you be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Links in the description below for that. And comment your thoughts on tonight's race. What would your score be in tonight's race? Do you think tonight's race was really, really good, or did you think tonight's race was really, really boring? Let me know in comments below. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you like so YouTube can recommend more of these great videos out to you guys. If you do that, I would greatly appreciate it. Anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time we have started the 2021 season. Take care, everybody.